Hey friends, Diane here. Sadly, we sometimes view life through the eyes of a condemned person. Our past may have produced endless voices within us that will give us every reason to feel guilty and ashamed. These, of course, come ultimately from Satan himself. In chapter 2, Mr. Licato turns us to the story of the woman caught in adultery. He points to the voices filled with hatred and self-righteousness, wagging their fingers and their tongues at her. Then Mr. Licato talks about how Jesus first stooped for her, but then stood up for her. The author says, he stood up for the woman and silenced her accusers, and he does the same for you. We can choose to shut our minds to the accusations of the accuser. We can choose to open our hearts to the change God's grace can bring, in spite of the past, in spite of the failures, in spite of our weaknesses, because we are not who we were. Grace makes it possible to gain a whole new perspective on life. This quote is not from our author from this month, but I love how Joyce Meyer says, grace is not permission to live a sloppy life. It is the power not to do so. Grace takes away our guilt so we can live a fulfilling life. Jesus bore our guilt so we would never have to. God's grace changes us. It changes our heart, soul, and life. It changes the purpose of our lives, but it should also change our outlook on life. We should begin to view everything that happens through the forgiving eyes of God. Grace changes, and grace also forgives. If you have not yet forgiven yourself, please do so today. If you refuse to do this, you not only place yourself above God, who has already forgiven you, but you close the door to his amazing grace. Let's choose to look out for anything that hinders the power of God's grace, because as we do this more and more, our lives in Christ become more and more amazing, just like his grace. Have a great Sunday. We'll continue with this great book tomorrow.